This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews, and today we're ranking the albums by Van Halen. We have 12 albums to talk about, and I'm here with my guest, Dragonfire, who we've been doing a couple of album rankings. We've been doing these every weekend. They've been very fun. So I think this is going to be a good one. I've been a Van Halen fan since the 80s. I know the albums very well, except one of them, which I'll get to later. And I know you've been a big Van Halen fan, so maybe you want to talk about that a little bit. And
Yeah, I think that I first heard Van Halen. I was born in 1981, but I'm certain that I first heard Van Halen in the 80s. That I know they had the music video for Hot for Teacher on MTV.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and some of the other big hit songs I saw the music videos for, and I heard the hits on the radio, even as a young child, because I was 8 or 9 when the decade ended, but yeah, I guess 8 when the decade ended, but I'm certain that I heard Van Halen in the 80s. So yeah, that fandom goes all the way back to me being a very young child. So yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, same here. I actually discovered them around a 1984 album, but I think I was like 13 around the time, and then I remember watching MTV. When that album was popular, and then when I was older, like more like 18 or 19, I was getting into rock music, and I bought like all the I bought some of the earlier albums, and then I would like listen. I would buy the albums when they would come out, like the Sammy Hagar album. So yeah, I've been a fan off and on. But anyway, so let's get into it. So I'll let you start. You start with your number 10. Your number 12, sorry.
Number 12, yeah, we're doing 12 this week. I hope my voice doesn't come off sounding too nasally. I've been dealing with the cold this week. I'm going to start off with number 12 as Van Halen 3. I like Extreme. We actually recorded a video on Extreme, but the sound got cut out, so we had to scrap that video. But
Yeah.
Gary Sharon is the lead singer in this album. It's their 11th album, the final album of the 90s. I believe it came out in 98, right? I didn't
Yeah,
I
98.
didn't
Yeah.
write down as many notes for this one, but I do like Gary Sharon, like I said, because I like the band Extreme, especially like my top 3 Extreme albums are really good. But this one, I would say the only thing that really stands out for me is Alex's his drumming. And I would say Alex Van Halen is my favorite drummer of all time. But Van Halen 3, just for whatever reason, doesn't work for me. I think some of the songs were written with Sammy Hagar in mind, but
Yeah.
they ended up getting Gary Sharon instead. So maybe that contributes to part of it. But yeah, that's my number 12.
Okay. Yeah, so I have the same album, number 12, Van Halen 3. And it's probably like most fans will probably put this at the bottom. I know some people really like hate the album. I don't hate it. I think it has its moments. I remember when this one came out, remember working at this factory, just working like the overnight shift, and one of my coworkers bought it, and I listened to it back then when it came out. And yeah, after that, I kind of forgot about it. But like I said, it sounds good on paper, but I think like the band was going through lots of problems with management and internal problems and all that. I like the first few songs, Without You, One I Want From Afar. Those are pretty good songs. Some of the songs in the middle are kind of forgettable. And then at the end, I think it's How Many Say I, which has Eddie Van Halen on vocals, which is an interesting song. I thought it's pretty good. I think his vocals aren't that bad, but I mean, I think they fit the song. So again, it's not most people say it's their worst album. I don't think it's like horrible, but it has to come at the bottom. I think, but the albums that come after, like the other 11 albums, are going to be much better. So I'll let you go to your number 11. Yeah.
Okay, number 11 for me, I went ahead and went with Balance. I believe this is the last one of the Sammy Hagar era.
Yeah.
And it's all right. When in the past I haven't been as big as fan as the Sammy Hagar era of the band, but this week I did listen to all the albums and I was really trying to give the Sammy Hagar era a chance, and I would think that I actually appreciated it more this time than I have on previous listens. So maybe
Yeah.
it's growing on me. I do like some of Sammy Hagar's solo stuff, but
Yeah.
out of the Sammy Hagar albums, this was definitely the weakest one for me. Is Balance from '95, I believe.
Cool. That's a good one. Okay, so my number 11, I'm gonna go with a different kind of truth. This is their last album, and it's a comeback album with David Lee Roth. Actually, I mean, this was the only album that I never listened to before preparing for this. So I think that's the only reason I have it ranked lower. Or, I mean, if I had spent more time with it, it might be higher because I actually thought it was pretty good upon like first listen. I think it's just, I like the first two singles with the music videos where it shows like the guys playing and it has a young Wolfgang Van Halen who I don't know how old he was. He looked like he was maybe like 17 or 18 years old at the time because he appears in the music video for a tattoo and she's the woman. And it just looks like these guys are having fun. It's like you have the young Wolfgang like playing with his dad and his uncle. It just looks like these guys are just having fun. It's a fun album, but I mean, I just have it at the bottom only for the only reason is because I liked the other ones like a little better, and I had spent more time with the other albums. But I really liked this album. I thought it was just kind of like a fun album. It's a fun like return to form. It's like the guys, they seem like they have like the same type of chemistry, like they're kind of like taking off where they left off. So it's a good album, but again, it's just one I haven't spent time with. So for that reason, it's my number 11.
Okay, my number 10, I'm going with For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, or FUCK.
Yeah.
Right? This one, I kind of like Pound Cake, and Judgment Day is not too bad either. Right now, I think is pretty good. Like I said, the Sammy Hagar stuff is growing on me, even though I've never been the biggest fan. But I appreciated this album more on this listen than on previous listens. So it's now in my top 10.
Nice. Okay, so moving into my top 10. So I have Balance, and this is the one you talked about before. This is another one that's like out of the Sammy Hagar albums, it's probably like the worst one, but it's not bad. I think there are a couple of songs I like a lot. It's one song, it's like a pretty heavy song. It's called Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do. That's like one of my favorite Sammy Hagar songs that with Van Halen. That's a really great song. Also has Can't Stop Loving You. That was one of the singles. And I think it has like three instrumentals. So I think that might bring it down a little bit. Even though they're pretty good instrumentals, they're pretty like Eddie Van Halen is doing some pretty cool stuff with Strung Out and doing Time. I like them. But otherwise, it just has a few songs that are a little more forgettables, which I don't really remember that much. But overall, not a bad album. It's just, I think the only reason I have it above their 2012 album is just because I really like Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do. I think that's like a really great song. So anyway, that's my number 10.
Okay. My number 9, I'm going to go with 5150. I like Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah.
The title track is okay. Dreams is okay. Why Can't This Be Love was a big hit. And out of all the Sammy Hagar hits, it might be one of my favorites or my favorite. But yeah, it definitely is, like I said, it's something that's growing on me. I don't know why it is that I can appreciate Sammy Hagar's solo stuff so much, but then when he's in Van Halen, it just sounds wrong to me. But
Mhm.
it is growing on me. So that's my number
Okay.
9. Yeah.
Number 9. Okay, so my number 9 is going to be 2812. I like this one. I bought this one when it came out. It came out in 1988, and I was like buying a lot of music back then. I was maybe 17 years old. And I remember I used to buy, lots of albums. I think I bought this on a cassette when it came out, and I like it. It has some like really good singles. Mine Oh Mine's a good song. When It's Love, that's one of the ballads. I think like the one song I don't like, Cabo Wabo, was like a 7-minute song. I thought that one was not great, but then like towards the end, there's some great songs like Finish What You Started. That's a really fun track. Black and Blue, really cool. Guitar work by Eddie on that song, and Sucker in a Three Piece. That's a really good song that I like. So I think it's a pretty good, like well-rounded album. It's kind of like a safe album. Like they're not really doing anything out of the ordinary. It's just like a collection of like pretty, really good, decent Van Halen tracks. Some are a little more harder rocking. So you got the ballads. So it's a good album, but I just like a few of the other ones better. So that's where are we? My number 9, right? Oh, you 812.
Yeah. So my number 8, I'm gonna go with a different kind of truth for number 8.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the only one of the 12 not to have Michael Anthony on bass. Instead, it's Wolfgang on bass. So you could say this is the most Van Halen album because it has three Van Halens playing on it.
True, never thought of that. Yeah.
Oh, I think that Eddie's father actually does contribute some clarinet to Diver Down.
Yeah.
So I guess he's featured. He's kind of more of a special guest rather than a main musician. But yeah, this one, it does sound like they just wanted to get back together and have fun was the word used a lot when describing this album.
Yeah, fun. It's a
And that,
fun album. Yeah.
yeah, and that gets extra points for me. Honestly, I didn't like Tattoo the first time I heard it, the first track on the album, but after a while, it actually started to grow on me. But other than the first track that I'm kind of iffy about, the rest of the album I think is very fun. And it might not have the same youthful energy as their 80s work with David Lee Roth, but it still has something for me. It's like the band got back together, the original, or minus Michael Anthony, but for the most part the original band got back together, and I like it. So yeah.
Cool. All right. So next, so we're up to my number 8. So I have 5150. I know a lot of people like this album. I've actually seen rankings where people put it at number 1, and I think it's a good album. It's a nice, well-rounded album. The first one was Sammy Hagar, so I think they wanted to kind of have like a little bit of everything, like a little bit of hard rock, a little bit of that, the pop, a little more some the more keyboard, like ballads. So I like Why Can't This Be Love? That's one of the ballads. I think they were kind of going for another one, another hit like they had with Jump a few years prior to that. Dreams, another ballad. Best of Both Worlds. That's a cool, like hard rocker. And Love Walks In. There's a ballad. That's and 5150 and Inside are good, like deep cuts. Overall, it's a good album. I think just like another one where I think they're just playing it safe. They're not really doing anything different. It's just they're trying out the new vocalists. So I think they just want to have like just like a nice, well-rounded album with just more accessible songs. So when we get to the earlier albums, like I like it when they kind of do different stuff and they kind of experiment more. So anyway, so that's gonna be my number 8. It's gonna be 5150.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 7 is going to be OU812. So if you're keeping track, I did have one of the Sammy Hagar albums ranked higher than one of the David Lee Roth albums.
Yeah.
But so yeah, there was just something about this one that really stuck out to me, and just some stuff I didn't notice the first time. I kind of liked mine, or Finish What You Started is the one that really stood out to me on this one, but I also liked Feel So Good, Black and Blue, Apolitical Blues was interesting. Yeah, there was just there was something about this one that was I kind of felt like, okay, they're really settling into a groove, because I feel like you said 5150 was before this, and I don't think that they had quite adjusted to having a new lead singer yet. So
Yeah.
this one to me is the best of the Sammy Hagar albums, because it feels like they adjusted to, okay, David Lee Roth is no longer, and now we can play to Sammy Hagar's strength, but it still has that 80s feel to it that I love.
Yeah.
So I love 80s. So yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, so my number 7 is going to be For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. This is my favorite of the Sammy Hagar albums. And I like it because I think they just like got a little more experimental. They kind of went outside of the box a little bit on this one. It's kind of like a little like a heavier album, I guess. I remember like watching the music video for Pound Cake, and this one has Eddie Van Halen. He has like the drill with the guitar picks. I thought that was pretty cool. Also, Judgment Day, I like that one. There's some good deep cuts, like Pleasure Dome. That's a really good song. And it has, I really like the drumming by Alex Van Halen's drumming on that one. That's a really cool, like heavier track. And I think that's what I like. This one also had a big hit called Right Now, which is one of the more ballads. And the music video is really cool because it has like it's pretty much like all text, and it says like right now, like I haven't watched the music video in a while, but like right now, children are dying in Africa or something like that. And so it kind of has like all these like different like facts, and it just has like lots of different text effects, which is kind of it was kind of ahead of its time back in 1991. But other great tracks like In and Out, Man on a Mission, just they're kind of like going outside the box. They're doing like some different stuff. So I think for that reason, I like this one, and I have it ranked higher than the other ones because pretty much everything after this are going to be David Lee Roth albums. So that's my what number am I on? We're on 7. So that's my number 6. Going to be For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge.
Okay, well, my top 6 are the original 6.
Yeah.
This is the original, or at least the original recording lineup of the band, and it's also just I feel the energy on these albums, the youthful energy, and just the band putting it all together. That being said, for me, the weakest one of the original 6 is Van Halen II. I'm not sure why, but this one doesn't connect with me as much as the others do. I like Beautiful Girls. Spanish Fly is kind of cool. You're No Good. Yeah, it's all a nice album, but just overall it doesn't connect with me as much as some of the others. And I kind of feel like maybe this was the leftovers from the first album because they probably had a bunch of songs that they played live. And I feel like they front loaded and stacked up that first album. And then a year later, when they went into the studios, they kind of loaded up the second album with the leftovers that they didn't include in the first album. Or at least that's the way it feels to me. But I still like Van Halen too, just not as much as the other albums in the original run. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's interesting because I don't have that one yet, but that one's like coming soon.
Okay.
Anyway, but my number 6 is going to be Diver Down. I think this is one that I think a lot of people didn't like it. They say there were too many cover songs, but Van Halen, they've always been like done lots of covers. But I think this one has one, two, three, 5 of the 12 tracks are covers, so I think people didn't like that. And then there are 3 instrumentals, and it's like a 30-minute album, but I think it's just a good album. Like Where Have All the Good Times Gone? That's King's cover, really good. Or Pretty Woman, Roy Orbison. I think that works really perfect as like a hard rock song. Dancing in the Street, not great. Happy Trails, that one's okay, but it's kind of like a weird song. But it's only like a minute long anyway. But really, there's some good deep cuts. The Full Bug, there's a really great guitar playing in that one. I like Hang 'em High and Secrets. Those are really good, like deep cuts. And Eddie has some really good guitar playing in this one. So again, it's kind of like half a covers albums and like half instrumental. And then, a lot of people complain about it, but I like it. I think it's just a good, like solid, like 30-minute album. And there's just some one I enjoy listening to. So that's my number 6, Diver Down. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
My number 5 is going to be Fair Warning. So this one is 1981.
Yeah.
And I like Mean Street. I like Dirty Movies. One Foot Out the Door. I really like the whole album, honestly. It's just that for some reason it doesn't quite click as much as the others. But I do love Fair Warning, and let's see. I think I came across this one in a dollar bin, believe it or not. I'm
Oh,
pretty sure this one came from a dollar bin, yeah.
that's
But
pretty
yeah, I
cool.
was like, Van Halen for a dollar? Yes. But yeah, so I don't have many Van Halen on vinyl. I have 3 on vinyl, and we'll get to the other 2. But yeah, I love it. It's good stuff. It doesn't quite reach the level of my Mount Rushmore. My top 4 for Van Halen are like all-timers for me. That's what part of what makes Van Halen one of my all-time favorite bands is my top 4 is right up there. But we'll get to my number 4 in a minute. What's your number 5?
Yeah, so my number 5 is going to be Van Halen 2, like you were talking about. And yeah, same here. Like after like listening to everything again, I liked it when it came. I bought it like back, not when it came out, but I bought it like when I was a teenager, and I thought it was pretty good. But again, it's just kind of like you said, like re-listening to it again, like it doesn't hold up as good as some of the other albums. So I think that's really. But I like some of the songs. Spanish Fly is a good instrumental. Dance the Night Away, that's a cool, catchy song. Somebody Get Me a Doctor, that's classic Van Halen. Out of Love Again, that's a pretty good deep cut. If anything, like that might be the best song of the album. But otherwise, I think like this one doesn't hold up as well as some of the other earlier David Lee Roth albums. So that's why I have it. Like I thought it was going to be low, but actually you had a lower. That's kind of funny. But yeah, it's my number 5, Van Halen 2. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So for my Mount Rushmore, just let me say that um my opinion could change on this because I really struggled with this list. with my top 4 in particular, I love these albums, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with Women and Children first. Yeah, I love this entire album. I can't really say anything bad about it. Maybe it's just because some of the songs I love on some of the other albums are the top 3. I love those. There's certain songs I love so much that those 3 albums are elevated because of that. But In the Cradle Will Rock, Could This Be Magic? There's something about I was thinking about this week after I listened to the first 6 albums, particularly. David Lee Roth, I feel like it's something that shouldn't work but does. And that is that his voice sounds like almost like a show tune singer or like a Broadway show or something.
Yeah,
And why that should work with Eddie Van Halen's like heavy metal guitar, electric tones, and with Alex Alex Van
yeah,
Halen's drumming and the bass line put in the whole kind of heavy metal theme there. I don't know why it works, but it does for me. Take Your Whiskey Home is great. Anyway, yeah, this whole album works for me on a level, but the whole original run of David Lee Roth works for me, and I don't know why, but it does. Anyway, that's my number
yeah.
4. My number 4, yeah.
Okay. No, it's kind of interesting that you said that he kind of sounds like very theatrical. I'm pretty sure I gotta check his Wikipedia page because I'm pretty sure he released a solo album that was like all like cover songs that are, check, maybe I'm wrong, that are like all these like Broadway songs. Maybe I'm thinking I don't know, maybe someone can say that in the comments. I'm pretty sure he released like an album of show tunes, or maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Okay.
But anyway,
If he did, I don't
so
know that one, but I'd like to check it out for sure.
I have to research it. I just thought when you mentioned it, it kind of like made me think of something.
All right.
But anyway, my number 4 is going to be 1984. This is a classic. I mean, I remember when this one came out. The big hit Jump was all over the radio on MTV. This one has hit singles, but I don't even think the singles are my favorite songs from the album because I think the deeper cuts are pretty good. Like the singles like Jump, Panama, Hot for Teacher, I'll Wait. Everyone knows those. But Hot Jimmy, Drop Dead Legs, awesome songs. Girl Gone Bad, House of Pain. I mean, I think I like them better than the singles, but I think it's just a well-rounded album. It's a good, like, maybe a good, like, starter point if you're new to the band, if you want to, this could be number 1, but again, like, it's kind of hard. I have it at number 4, but like you said, with your top 4, I'm like, they're almost interchangeable, kind of hard to rank. But anyway, that's my number 4 is 1984. Yeah.
All right, cool. My number 3 bronze medal goes to Diver Down. This might be a controversial pick. This is usually the one that people rank at the bottom of the original run,
Yeah.
but there's something about it that just really works for me. I Probably the weakest song on the album has got to be Dancing in the Street. Just
Yeah.
because there's something about that just feels a little off to me, but I do like it better than the original Dancing in the Street. The rest of the album is fantastic for me. I don't know why, I want to hear them end the album with Happy Trails, but that works for some reason.
Yeah.
you know, and hey, it's Happy Trails. It makes sense to be the last song on the album. I absolutely love Big Bad Bill. I don't know why either though, because it's almost like a country song or
Yeah.
something. And but yeah, their cover of Pretty Woman and yeah, Where Have All the Good Times Gone? This is just a lot of fun. It's short, it's in and out. It doesn't take up a lot of your time, but yeah, I love it. I love the song. I mean the album. I love the whole album. So yeah, that's my number 3 bronze medal is Diver Down.
All right, nice. Well, my number 3 is going to be Fair Warning. This is what's interesting is like this is like the lowest selling from the David Lee Roth era, and I think kind of surprising, but I think it's because it's a little like a heavier, not the heaviest album. That's going to be another one we're going to talk about in a minute. But like it's a little heavier, darker. It's not like as fun. Like I think like this is like the third album, right? Like their first 2 albums. No, it's the fourth album.
Fourth, yeah.
The first like 2 albums were more like the heavy party rock, and I think this one's like a little darker, but I like it a lot. Main Street has some great like guitar intro, Dirty Movies in a Swing, Hear About It Later, great song. Unchained is probably the most popular song from the album. That's like the only like hit single, I would say. And I like the last 2 songs, Sunday Afternoon in the Park, where it has this like dark like synth. That's really cool and out and one foot out the door. It's a short song. It's like a heavier song. I kind of like that. So this one is, I like this one a lot. It's like a little heavier, a little darker. They're kind of experimenting a little more, and I just really like this one. Like they're kind of like doing something different, and I really like it when bands like do that. They didn't play it safe, which is why like it didn't sell as well. But that's why I like it. So again, that's my where am I? Number three. My number three. Yeah.
Okay, my silver medal, I'm gonna give to 1984. And I have this one on both CD and cassette tape. I also have it on vinyl, so I had to get this one. I paid a little bit more for this one, but this album cover is so love the album cover. I don't know, something about it works for me. Yeah,
Mm.
it's the only Van Halen I have on cassette tape, but I'd like to get a few others.
Mm.
I and don't get me wrong, I still love Jump and Panama, but part of me never understood why Jump became a bigger song than Hot for Teacher. I don't know if it may be because Hot for Teacher, maybe it's too controversial a subject matter. Maybe some people shied away from it for that. I
Yeah.
kind of feel like in 1984, though, most people were just were like, boys will be boys, you know? Um,
Yeah. Mhm.
but still, I love 1984. Hot for Teacher is one of my favorite songs of all time. It is my favorite Van Halen song, and it pretty much that song pretty much cements Alex Van Halen as my favorite drummer of all time.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Drums on Hot for Teacher just take it over the top for me. But yeah, this is a fantastic album. I like Top Jimmy, House of Pain, Girl Gone Bad. I like every song on the album. So, yeah, 1984. I think it's just for whatever reason I feel like an one album besides this one from beginning to end, the consistency of the album makes it my number one, but I still love 1984. So, yeah, it's my silver medal, number two.
Nice. Okay, so my number two is gonna be Women and Children first, and I think that kind of like lets us kind of know we both have the same number one. But anyway, this is their heaviest album. This is like, I think this is the only album that I we can actually say that like it has parts that are like real like heavy metal, and I mean like more of the deeper cuts, like Romeo Delight. There's some heavy guitar riffs there. Cora has some heavy stuff here, and like there are just moments like in and out of some of the songs where they kind of sound like a metal band, but they also have the more fun party rock, the stuff that was on like the first two albums, like "And a Cradle Will Rock," "Everybody Wants Some," those are fun songs. "Taking Whiskey Home," another fun song. But and I think "Lost of Control," that's like one of the heavier tracks, one of the more aggressive tracks. But I think for that reason, I like it a lot. I think like they're kind of like going outside the box a little bit. Like they're not playing it safe, and then they kind of want to try some different stuff. So for that reason, I like this album a lot, and I think it's just one of the best. So that's my number two.
Awesome, right on. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, my top four are almost interchangeable for me. So yeah, I love that that's your number two. My number one, I'm going to say something controversial here. This album came out in 1978. Now, this is a band that was on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles, California, and they're on the Sunset Strip. Not that they were from California necessarily, but that they got together and all the musicians and all the bands that were coming around at that time in the late 70s and early 80s. And this album, when they put out their first album, to me, I feel like this is the very first hair metal album. I know that's
Oh yeah,
controversial
no,
because a
I
lot
could
of
agree.
people.
I could agree with that. Yeah, no,
Okay, cool. I'm glad you agree because a lot of people say it's Too Fast for Love by Motley Crue that came out originally in 1981. A lot of people put that as the first hair metal album.
no.
But
I think this album like set the
Mhm.
blueprint for '80s metal.
Yeah, the 80s pop metal, hair metal, glam metal, whatever you want to call it. Eddie Van Halen, every guitar from all the bands that are kind of associated with that genre, I feel like they're all following in the footsteps of Eddie Van Halen. Eruption, on this album. They're following in that footsteps. It's taking everything of like 70s heavy metal, but also like more pop radio friendly stuff, Also, okay, yeah, we're talking about Van Halen 1 from
Yeah, Van Halen one.
1978,
Yeah.
and it is my number one, my gold medal. And I absolutely love this album. Jamie's Crying, Atomic Punk, I'm the One. Yeah, everything on this album is really good for me. Ice Cream Man, On Fire. And I also found this one on vinyl. Now, I think this was in a discount bin at one of the stores around where I live. It wasn't in the dollar bin, but I think it was only $4. So it's like it's got
That's
a
so
lot
good.
of
Yeah.
yeah, it's got a lot of damage to the cover and whatnot. It's definitely got, you can see the vinyl ring on both sides, but for $4, I wasn't going to pass that up. So I've only been collecting vinyl for probably about a year or so, um,
Yeah.
that I restarted collecting vinyl. I had a few when I was younger and I lost track of them over the years, but now I got it. And yeah, I definitely love to have some Van Halen on vinyl. So that's my number one.
Okay, nice. So yeah, so obviously that's also my number one. The first Van Halen album. I think it's just a great debut. Like I said before, I think it like set the blueprint for heavy metal in the 80s. It's just one of those albums. I mean, maybe if Black Sabbath invented metal and Judas Priest like took it to the next level, I mean, the Van Halen, they kind of like took metal and they kind of made it a little more accessible. And I think that's kind of what this album did. Just front to back, like no bad songs at all. Like every song is just great. Run with the Devil, Eruption, that's another classic. You Really Got Me, even though it's a cover, they do it well. And Talking About Love, that's one of my favorites. Jamie's Crying, another one of my favorites. Ice Cream Man, pretty cool. I forgot that that's a John Bryn cover. I forgot that was a cover. I forgot to mention on last David Lee Roth album, What's a Different Kind of Truth. There's a song that reminded me of Ice Cream Man. I think it's almost like a sequel. I forgot to mention that before. And
Which
On
one is
Fire is
that?
great. The one with a different, if you want to pull that album out, we have some time. There's a song like towards the end, and yeah, but it's like towards the end.
Towards the end, is it The Trouble with Never
Let
or
me
Out of
let me see, but
Space, Stay
let me see if I
Frosty,
remember.
Big
No,
River?
it's Stay Frosty. That one.
Stay Frosty. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
if you
could
haven't heard
see
that
the
one in a while,
connection.
it's almost like a sequel to Ice Cream Man. I don't know if it was meant to be that way, but I probably should have mentioned it back then. I forgot to mention it. But anyway, back to this first album. Yeah, it's my number one. I think like almost anyone would have this at number one. But it's just a great album. The starts of it. But I bought this back in like 1988. I was like around 17 or 18, and this has always been my favorite. I bought like this one, and I bought Van Halen too, and I would like this one a lot better. But so anyway, so that's our ranking, and next week we'll probably be doing something different. And for all of you watching, comment your ranking below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Dragonfire. We'll be collabing on this. So this video should be linked to his channel as well. And so thanks for watching, everyone. See you all in the next one.